to today's demo of ABBYY's Proof of Identity solution. So you're looking at my computer. Here on the right hand side we have my browser and we're on a web page. On the left hand side is my iPhone. Now before we begin, I want to show you a situation that's a little bit similar and help you better understand how the Proof of Identity solution fits into your larger website. So if we go over here to the California DMV website, there's lots of different things that you can do. One of the things you can do is title transfer. And as you can see, they have instructions, they have some background, different things that you need, information, etc. And it's all within their larger website. Now, once you're ready to begin, you can start. And here in an iframe, the process opens up. You can see your steps within the iframe. And in this case, they have 6 steps. I can navigate those steps at the top. Within each step, I have some instructions and I could click next, etc. So in that way that the steps open up here in an iframe within the larger website, the exact same situation is going to happen with Proof of Identity. So in the larger website, Proof of Identity is going to open up in this iframe at the particular point in time in the process where you need to have additional information, and rather than entering in the information by hand, it's tedious, it's error prone, etc., we're just going to capture the documents. And it's a very easy 3-step process. And what the end user sees, and you'll see, is very simple. What's going on in the background and the processing is quite complex, but to the end user it's all quite simple. So we have our 3 steps, some tips. We'll go ahead and begin. Across the top now we have our different steps that we can navigate from. We could change to a passport or a different document type. We could upload a file. Most cases that will be turned off or disabled for security reasons, but it's on right now in the demo, and it can be on for certain use cases. But we're simply going to scan via phone. Now I could send a link to a phone via SMS or email, copy the link, etc. But the easiest is to simply take my phone, go to my camera, point it at my computer, and launch it from that QR code. So now, if you watch on the left-hand side of the screen for the demo now, we will transition to my phone for most of the rest of the demo. So the first step, as you can imagine, is simply to be able to capture the images. Now, we have smart capture technology. So it automatically captures when the conditions are right. Well, that wasn't a front, and so it was red, it wasn't green, the conditions were not right, and it could not automatically capture it. As you saw there, when I switched over to the front of my ID, the conditions were correct, the frame turned green, and it automatically captured it. I didn't actually click on any other buttons. Now we'll do the same for the back. When the conditions are correct, it will turn green and it will automatically capture. Now at this point in time I could recapture an image if I needed to. All of those images are fine, there's no need to recapture, but I certainly could if I needed to. So at this point I'll simply continue. Now what's going on at this point is a lot of complex processing, and I'll talk about that in a moment. For the end user, you see it's very simple. They can go back to the computer if they want, or we can continue here on our mobile device. Well, we're going to continue here on mobile. So we could do some additional things here, recapture, etc. if we wanted, but we're just going to click continue, and we're going to go on to our next step. We're just going to stay using the mobile. So our next step is selfie capture. Here's some tips. It's quite easy though. We'll click continue. We don't need to use another device, we'll just use this device, so we'll just keep scanning here, and I'll do my selfie here on this device. And it's really that simple and straightforward. Now, I'm going to click finish, and keep in mind, even though this is super easy for the end user, there's a bunch of complex things going on in the background. We're going to continue on mobile, and we're going to continue through this to the next step. Before I go on to document upload, I want to tell you a little bit more about the complex things going on in the background. So with the IDs, not only are we extracting all of the data, we're looking at verifying the authenticity of the ID. And is this an authentic ID? There's a bunch of complex processing going on. For the selfies, there's a bunch of complex facial matching going on. We're actually going to match my selfie to the headshot on the photo, in addition to doing liveness assessment. So there's a bunch of complex things going on there, lots of complex processing. And then certainly, last but not least, we need to deal with the identity affirmation component. So we just did the identity proofing components, and now we're going to work on the identity affirmation components with additional documents. And I have this configured to use a utility bill or a bank statement, but quite frankly, I can configure it to use whatever documents I needed to, specific to my use case. So that's very important. Whatever your use case, whatever your documents are, we can configure it to use those and automatically be able to extract all the data and process those. For the demo, I'm just going to do a utility bill, but again, it could be anything. I'm going to scan this utility bill, and I'm just using this same mobile phone again. I'll start scanning, and we'll go to mobile web capture here, and the same kind of situation is that when the conditions are right, it's automatically going to capture that. I didn't click on anything. It took that picture for me when the conditions were right. It looks fine. I'll say done, and essentially now we're done, but we'll go through a couple of last steps in the process. So we'll continue here on mobile, and that's the little image of the utility bill we just captured. I'm going to say continue, and we'll go to the last step. We could have navigated back to any of the other steps in the process, but I simply went to the final page here for the overview. Now, normally we would be done, but you can see here for ID capture, this document is expired. Well, sure enough, I did actually capture an expired ID. I did that on purpose. So it's found that when it's checking the authenticity and checking for that information, it sees that it's an expired ID. Now I could go back, and if I had a valid ID, I could go back and correct that. Also, my selfie capture was completed. It was successful, but it wants me to be able to finish my ID capture step first. And last but not least, the upload of the utility bill that I used. All the processing was done on that correctly. We extracted all the information, and all of that is completed as well. So we've now completed the process, what an end user would see using ABBYY's Proof of Identity. I hope you enjoyed this demo. Have a great day.